The FPL Good Guys.
I do kind of feel like we just sort of sit here awkwardly looking at each other whilst that's happening, and it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, what it is. Hi everyone, welcome back to the FPL Good Guys. This is our Game Week 10 preview podcast. We'll do a little awkward wave as well.
I do apologise too for the lack of live stream. We'll get that sorted out again soon. Anyway, continue, Joe.
Yeah, and as well, apologies for the quality of the live streams from last week, because just sort of sitting in silence and Barham just speaking, I can understand why that might be perceived as terrible content, and we'd have to agree.
If everyone else is apologizing, I'll also apologize for the fact that our last podcast was uploaded after the deadline of the game week. Actually, only yesterday.
Yeah.
Well,
and also, I'll say thank you to the because we did lose a subscriber in and amongst the fuckery, which is fair play. But thank you to the 12 for still subscribing.
I think while we're here, we should also apologise to anyone that listened to us on Spotify, because although we have recorded podcasts for the last 4 weeks, none of them have been uploaded to Spotify.
Yeah, we're just repenting for our sins. That's when you know you're killing it, when you're starting a podcast with loads of
I mean, if we could hear ourselves now after game week 1 with an all right podcast, thinking, God, it's only going to get better from here, and six of us apologising for all the things we've done wrong.
I'm just bashing one off, Joe is, and then BV's like, oh, well, I may as well apologise too.
Well, anyway, let's look forward to game week 10 and to better podcast quality, hopefully. So, where should we kick things off? Should we look at our
King of the Game Week?
Game week, yep.
King of the Game Week. Cool. Right, let me share screen.
I don't even know why I'm saying that so enthusiastically, because I know Madison's going to come up, and that just breaks my heart.
Are we calling this King of the Game Week? We'll call it differential punts of the game week.
I quite liked non-premium King of the Game Week, probably because I came up with it.
Essentially, the purpose of this is for us to each pick a player under 10 million who we think will score the highest in a particular game week. And we can't pick the same player twice, essentially.
Yeah, so last week, I guess we'll go left to right. BV chose Vardy. I actually, at the time, had a dilemma between Vardy or Daka. Didn't know which one would start. Both of them ended up getting the same amount of points. So 5 points for each. Joe chose Madison. Joe scored a nice 18 points. Fair play. Dan chose Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson just outscored Vardy by 1 point, so Dan came in second with his 6.
I mean, it's returns from all the boys, so I think that's a good effort from us, to be fair. Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, seeing Madison 18 points as a non-owner and a Henderson owner, it did make me nearly want to cry. But luckily, I was on the lash while watching the game, and I just tried to forget about it. So probably did affect the eye test a little bit when you're actively trying your best to not pay attention to the game. So apologies for that. But
yeah. To be honest, we all did watch that game. So maybe our eye test punt will be focused on that, actually.
Yeah. But I mean, me and BV were drinking at the time, and we were playing a drinking game involving asking Joe questions. So, whether how much attention was paid to the actual game. Well, I mean, these two knobs actually have Madison, so I bet they were drinking it in as a Henderson owner and a non-Madison owner. It was tough, but I'm okay. So thanks for asking, viewers.
Yeah, I've actually got quite a lot to add in terms of what we gained from the eye test this last week. I watched 4 of the games this last week, which is
well done, Joe.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll get to that later on. But
let's get into it
this week. Yeah.
So Dan, do you have your differential of the week? I feel like you usually always go last, so I want you to go first this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna spray out Bowen.
You say that. I actually have Bowen written down here. Here now.
Yeah, but
and you just exclaimed earlier that this was okay for me to do that.
Yeah, but I already said it. You even said you fucked yourself because you said Dan go first, and yours wasn't written down on the spreadsheet. So
no, it is. It is written down here on the spreadsheet,
but not for the viewers, not for what I can see.
Look, I'll just make the text black. There it is, Bowen. All right, fine. I'll give you Bowen.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
wanted this.
Why Bowen, Dan? Why Bowen? Let's discuss that instead.
Because it's Fulham at home. I was looking at the fixtures thinking, what can I get on? And I wasn't impressed. So I was going Saturday fixtures. Ugh. Sunday, I believe the game's on Sunday. And I was like, oh, Fulham can ship a couple. I looked which stadium, London Stadium. I was like, okay. Bowen, he's a bit of a good footballer. Do you know what's giving me bad omen vibes when I'm saying, oh, he's a good footballer? I just remembered that was the exact same quote that Joe said when he picked Bowen in Gameweek 1, which, as we see on this spreadsheet, wasn't fruitful. And now I'm picking him for the exact same reason, hoping for different returns.
Although I can't talk about Bowen, well, I can talk about him. Although I can't pick him, I will talk about why I was also going to pick him in this case. I was going to pick him because Fulham have actually got now currently the worst XG conceded per minute, but not per minute, but as in it takes them 58 minutes to concede a whole 1 XG,
Really?
which is currently the worst in the Prem. This might be in the last 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, they've currently been slacking defensively. And I think if Mitrovic is out, this gives them no out ball and sort of changes their threat there. I feel like teams won't fear them as much and might go at them a bit more. West Ham have currently hit a bit of form. I was going for Bowen more out of that talismanic effect, which I feel like he might be slotting back into with his 14-pointer this week. And I do actually remember having Bowen last season. I remember him just being a bit of a form boy in terms of like once he got going, he kept those strides flowing. So I'm gonna now go for.
We're gonna have the same problem as last week.
I mean, you pick someone else from West Ham. You go for like Scamacca.
Yeah, I guess. I was thinking Scamacca, but my issue is I don't know. I have not done the research on whether he's going to start or not.
He will.
Antonio.
He's been starting the last. He's been starting the last few, and Antonio's been coming on at around 65, 70 minutes.
Do I want to pick a boy that only gets 70 minutes?
Yeah. But he is quite good at football.
Okay, I'll go Scamacca, and I hope that Antonio starts their Thursday night Conference League game or whatever it is.
Nice.
Joseph.
Well, do you know, if I hadn't already picked Rodrigo, I might be tempted by him because he looks. Obviously, I watched that Aston Villa game. Early on in that game, he looked really exciting. He was, almost his sort of confident, and he was taking shots from range that were quite powerful, and very nearly snuck in against Villa. He's playing Crystal Palace away, which isn't the most attractive fixture, but I just think he's going to get back up and running.
What, Rodrigo? Even though you literally can't pick him due to your rule of...
No, he said that.
I'm saying I can't pick him, but I am going to stay in that...
I thought you said you didn't want to pick him. Or will you?
Yeah, but I'm going to stay in that fixture and instead pick Wilfred Zaha, who I had to double check I hadn't already picked. So, yeah, Wilfred Zaha against... Leeds, who don't have Sinistera. I know that's not exactly the same as not having Mitrovic in that he's not an outball. He's a very good player. And yeah, Leeds, I don't think are going to do all that well against Palace. I back Palace to win that game. So Wilfred Zaha is likely to be a good part of that. So I picked him.
Do you know, interestingly, Zaha was my second choice. If I had for whatever picked Bowen, the other name out the hat was Zaha. And then if BV was insistent on Bowen, I would have gone Zaha, and then I would have just
And I think as well, Leeds are the kind of team to give away penalties. I don't know the stats on that. It just feels like the vibes, if you know what I mean. Like a defender could stick out a leg because they're just a bit shy. But yeah, that might be completely non-factual information. Yeah. They feel like a team that gives away a lot of penalties.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, sometimes you've got to make your decisions based off vibes.
Yeah, and Will Zaha might be a transfer in of mine, but I don't know yet. I've still not made sure, but he's got great fixtures over the next few as well. That makes him a good option, but yeah, what should we move on to?
Also, just to add, a person who I have had my eye on this week, who I'm not going to go for at all, but well, maybe this is a segue because I did actually put this in the description. I put on the description that we're going to chat about Liverpool assets. And when I was doing research for this little aspect here, I saw that Salah is currently underperforming his XG by minus 2.18. So I do think if you do have Salah, don't sell him. He's a hold, definitely. If anything, I might even put him down as a buy. Because he doesn't blank in game week 12. He's just, I feel like Liverpool might be clicking. Anyone watched the Tifo video today about how they've changed their formation? I actually did watch.
Was that just for the Rangers game?
Yeah, I did watch the Rangers game yesterday. That's something for the eye test. Maybe we should go to the eye test.
All right, yeah. Talk about that Rangers game because I know they tried a different formation.
They did. They played 4-2-3-1. So they played what on paper is a really good front four of Jota, Darwin Núñez, Salah, and someone else. And
Firmino, Carvalho.
No.
Firmino's been playing very well recently, hasn't he?
I feel like they did play. They started Diaz actually. I think they started Diaz.
Yeah.
I know Diaz came. Diaz was there. Don't know if he started, but he definitely was there. So I'm gonna say it was Diaz, Jota, Salah, and Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez had a lot of shots.
Alan McGregor. Right. I saw the highlights. Alan McGregor made a lot of saves.
And that was against Rangers. So Firmino's probably going to start against Arsenal.
Why? Could think that.
Because he's been playing very well for them. He's been stepping up for Liverpool. I read an article, and also just looking at how Liverpool have actually been doing. Firmino's actually, he's stepped up. I don't know. This makes no sense, but the analogy in my head, I'm thinking of, that meme where it says, I'm not the stepdad, I'm the dad that stepped up. I feel like that's Firmino. When Núñez is like, wow, getting sent off, Salah's in the bin, and the fact he's been rested against that game means that, hell, if you wanted a differential punt, if you're like, oh shit, I'm doing awful, I need to get ahead of the curve. Yeah, maybe punt on Firmino. I'm not necessarily saying doing it, just saying you could.
Is this new formation switch, I think, is preferring the wing, but as in from an attacking sense. So it's actually suiting Salah now, the switch to 4-2-3-1, and less assets like Trent. I don't know how it will affect the centre forward. I don't know if in this formation Firmino would actually play the cam role rather than the actual striker role. I think they'd play Darwin Núñez. It's like I feel like when they did play 4-2-3-1 before when Jota had just come in. I feel like Firmino was the one playing.
I'd actually like to ask you a question, BB. Based on before that you said Salah, potentially a hold if not a buy, I want to ask you, in your opinion, would he be a buy now? Because he's got Arsenal away and then Man City.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
I actually think he steps up for the bigger games.
Is that backed up by stats?
Well, he's never. When have we played him and he's really across the season he consistently gets points. He's a premium asset. These games never usually end 0-0. They're always high scoring games. It's like what City, Man United. I mean, they're not really a big team, but if they were a big team, that was what 6-3. Arsenal.
It's a bit contradictory.
Arsenal Spurs was 3-1. These games are high scoring. Chelsea, Liverpool last year was 2-2 and 2-2. Man City, Liverpool last year was 3-2 or something like that. Was it 3-2 and then 3-2 the opposite way?
Something like 2-2s. I might be wrong.
2-2s maybe.
But
they're high scoring games, and if Liverpool are going to score, it should be Salah.
So, what about your opinion of? I just want to ask you the question: De Bruyne versus Salah. Then Salah Arsenal away, De Bruyne he's got Southampton at home.
This is the thing. I am a De Bruyne owner, and I would prefer to hold De Bruyne against Southampton. I'm not going to make the move to Salah, but maybe that's because I'm less risky. I think people will actually be moving away from Salah, the normal sort of, I don't know, big proportion of the 10 million FPL players. So just think, I give up with Salah. Salah's done out here. When really, I think Salah's on the up. So yeah.
No, I mean, personally, I think it would be insanity to get rid of De Bruyne for Salah this week. De Bruyne's outscored Salah consistently. He's got a lot better fixture. He's got better expected data than Salah. He's playing for a better team who's scoring more goals. And then Salah's got very difficult fixtures, which I know you say, they're high scoring games or whatever, but you don't bring someone in for difficult fixtures.
See, this guy sounds like he's top of the Good Guys FPL league.
Don't suck him off like that.
Yeah, but if anything, I'm a dreg. I'm fucking down the bottom of anything. I'm just fucking bringing you, BV, down to my level.
Yeah.
Salah scored a penalty in the Champions League. Well done, Salah, but he's not doing anything in the league really. He's been a bit shy. We don't know if Klopp as well is going to bring this formation into the Prem or whether he just used it for that particular game.
I think currently, while Fabinho is out of form, he might stick with this because it gives him a bit better defensive stability, while also still having attacking threat. So I think my prediction is he'll stick with it, but that is just a prediction. We've not actually seen whether this has come through or not. Yeah. Then yeah, what would I say about De Bruyne has got a blank in game week 12 as well. So if you're going to hold, I don't know, Cancelo, you're going to hold Haaland, obviously, then a person like me has also got Martinelli and De Bruyne. One of them has got to go for me to field an 11, and that's an 11 not having Pereira and who else I've got on the bench.
Who else blanks in 12?
So it's Arsenal v Man City. That's it? So it's Arsenal and Man City that both blank in game week 12, and we've got to keep our eye on that. It's game week 10. It's not too far away.
Yeah. To be fair, what I'm reckoning is I actually think, based on this, I'm pretty confident in what I'm going to do. I actually believe that just in general, I believe Mitrovic is a hold. Potentially just bench him if you can, because when you look at the fixtures coming up, Fulham, I've been scoring all right. Obviously, Bournemouth at home. Now, I know Bournemouth have got a new manager, so it might be a little more defensively minded. It might not be the gold mine that you'd think in your head, but it's certainly not a bad fixture. Villa at home, Leeds away, Everton at home. I still think there's a good run for Mitrovic to do well. And plus, you're going to use a transfer, which is basically like spending 4 points in a way when you could transfer out a different fire. So I'm actually feel quite happy to just bench him, and then I'll have to think of who do I want to bring in, like a Shaw, Pereira, or Williams. We'll get to that later. And yeah, so I actually feel like the role, and then potentially bring in Salah next week, because I'm thinking in my team, rolling a transfer now, just benching Mitrovic, and then using 2 transfers that I'll have accumulated and getting rid of De Bruyne and Martinelli, who would have both been blanking in 12, and then bringing in Salah, and then who, he's still a good boy. He should pick up at some point. And yeah, getting rid of Martinelli makes sense.
Would you want to sell Martinelli in game week 12, do you think? All of that value you've accumulated, are you happy losing it?
Shit,
has
he
not got a decent game week 11 fixture? I'm not sure.
Nah, yeah, to be fair, I'm going to have to veto myself. I forgot about I lose loads of money.
I think bloody stuff like that's overrated, to be honest.
Yeah, but I can't get him back.
Yeah, why do you want him back?
Well, Southampton, Forest.
They do actually have really good games after. Well, maybe don't go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to. I can bench him. But that would mean playing Neco Williams at Brighton away.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Forest. Well, we'll come on to the eye test. Oh no, we're on the eye test now, aren't we? Actually.
Yeah, we're on the eye test.
Yeah, Forest looked absolutely abysmal against Leicester.
Steve Cooper, according to Mr. Fabrizio Romano, is on his last opportunity. This will be his last run out. I don't know whether that scares me or not. If in targeting them, I just don't know whether is he gonna rile them up one last time, or is this just the final crumble? It could go either way.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, my strategy, because I've been a very outspoken Henderson man from game week 1, and I've kept him so far. It's probably now gone into average to below average overall because I kept him for the highs, and yeah, he probably did overperform. I'll admit that, but I still think, like, second half of last season in the Championship, Forest then went on to have a better defensive record than the other two. In my mind, one of the, based on the research I did, one of the keepers for these newly promoted teams, at least one of them is going to be a very good investment. I'm treating that as a given. And so, especially too, for me personally, reflecting on some of my previous FPL performances, because I think it's a good idea to look at where you're going wrong in the past to then improve. I'm impulsive, you know. I get all scared and melodramatic, and then I make changes which then fuck me. So I am trying very hard to turn a new leaf, and I've been trying to forget the fact that Henderson really, really worries me. If anything, every week I get a little more scared. So I'm just trying to forget as best I can that I own him while still keeping him on starting 11. So, you know, it's very much maybe it's ballsy.
Yeah, no, I mean, watching that Leicester game, it might be, one side of it might be that Leicester were pretty good, but also Forest were really bad. Like, it wasn't just that, like, defensively when they were trying to defend Leicester's attacks that they were bad. It's when they would get the ball back, they would give it away straight away so cheaply so that Leicester could just attack again. Like, the amount of times that one of their players actually had a bit of time and space and would just kick it forward aimlessly, and one of Leicester's players would just pick it up and, you know, pass it so Leicester could go again. Like, the way they got through, and when they did get through, it was because they kicked it upfield like they always did, and it actually worked, which is how they created some chances. But the vast majority of the time it didn't, and they were really hopeless. So yeah, defensively, Forest are really bad.
Oh yeah, 100%. Do not buy. I mean, hell, when a fucking proud Henderson owner is telling you he's terrified about owning him, I think that, you know,
he's got to go. Well, he's a keeper.
I think what we're seeing here is classic just regression back to the mean. Henderson was obviously saving these penalties and everything. In the last 6 game weeks,
he's been underperforming lately.
He's got an XG prevented of -6, so he's conceded 6 more goals than he should have.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been doing awful. I've seen a little bit of his these stats. And he's been dog. I mean, he's been conceding 3 a game for the last few game weeks. Honestly, it's heartbreak. But I actually think that we'll get some regression bounce back. And to be fair, I'm actually so happy Cooper's nearly ready to be sacked, because I almost feel like I'm looking at it from as if I were a Forest fan. You know, I don't have to chain myself to Henderson. Well, in a way, it's a bit, I don't want to take a hit now I've already used my wild card. The time to have transferred him out would have been on my wild card, but, you know, you live and you learn. But again, Villa at home, Wolves away, Brighton away. I'm just talking if you have him, because a few people these days might actually have him. I'd be a little, you know, angsty to then spend a transfer on getting rid of him. I mean, if you don't own him, just fucking be all happy on your perch that you're not in the quagmire and the swamp that I'm in, or that us Henderson owners are, the few of us that are around. But I can very much see that if I got rid of him, spend a transfer, a precious transfer, might I add, Villa and Wolves aren't great. And if they get riled up, he has been particularly dog. I'm living on a prayer, essentially. But yeah, do not.
I mean,
fuck me.
So I know you had something to say, Aaron, but those two are the worst attacks in the league that he's playing. So it's probably not the time to sell, especially if you've stuck with him for this long. But yeah.
No, but I don't know if I prefer playing Henderson this week to a Danny Ward even. Like, Nottingham Forest have shown nearly nothing compared to the same as Leicester. And Leicester are playing Bournemouth, which aren't the most attacking team either. They've only racked up a few XG here and there.
I actually have such deep regret from last game week, the fact that, because I forgot I owned Ward, because obviously he's a 4 million player, so everyone owns Ward. I forgot because I just go, I'm cheap and stingy at the back. I just forgot that, oh shit, yeah, I do have a backup option that plays. Like, even being optimistic as hell, I was hoping that, Leicester, Nottingham Forest, I'm hoping for a 0-0. I was like, oh, Forest are dog, they're not going to score. Oh, I should have just gone Ward. I didn't think, honestly. I didn't think, and I just cost myself 8 points.
Leicester conceded the most goals in the league up till then, so it wasn't an obvious
Forest
pick.
were awful.
I do just want to say that Neto, the Bournemouth goalkeeper, Bournemouth at home are turning out to be a really good defensively solid unit. They kept Brentford out, and Brentford have been scoring goals for fun. Neto has got an XG prevented of +2 in his last 6. He's only 4.5, and like you say, Dan, one of the teams that get promoted are usually a good defensive unit, and currently it's showing to be Bournemouth, because they're the only one. Currently, they are 4th for XG conceded non-penalty in the last 6 games.
I mean, to be fair, because Bournemouth have a new manager, because obviously they sacked Scott Parker, which is very important to just throw about how it's, especially in the lower rungs of the table where managers get sacked, brought in, systems get switched up, it's a lot less permanent than it feels. Like a manager sacking, because Bournemouth were awful, before Scott Parker got sacked. Certainly defensively, you were targeting Bournemouth, but then a new manager can make a lot of difference. So, yeah, and obviously that's shown to be the case in Bournemouth.
I mean, even when Scott Parker was around, I've mentioned this on a previous podcast, but the games that they've lost have been, was it City, Liverpool, and I can't remember the other one. But what the big boys, they've beaten Villa, they've drawn to Brentford, they drew to Newcastle away, which was a big result. Bournemouth aren't that bad. I don't think we should target them.
They're currently still the only team to not allow Haaland to score.
Yeah. And if you see Haaland play Bournemouth, you think, oh my god, I might triple captain him. And Bournemouth aren't that
bad. Currently, actually, top of XG conceded in the last 6 is West Ham, which brings me back to why I do think this game week is still a good week to play any West Ham assets you've got, because Fulham, like they say, are without Mitrovic, and you're just in a situation where, a West Ham defender is actually.
You took the piss out of me for Zuma last week.
I had Emerson. Oh,
why'd you take the piss out of Zuma then? What the hell?
So do you actually back West Ham to keep a clean sheet against
Fulham? They might have no Mitrovic.
Yeah, with no Mitrovic, with a Mitrovic, I wouldn't back them. With no Mitrovic, I don't know where Fulham are going to score a goal from.
Deckard overread, apparently, given the Newcastle game. That was bullshit.
I was really happy about that. I needed it.
Well, don't you have? Oh no, you don't have Pope. Yeah, no.
You really benefited from that.
Yeah.
Trippier.
Because Trippier had already been subbed off.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
Shaw
also had been subbed off, so I should have started Shaw too, but I didn't.
That's all in hindsight.
Yeah.
So, right. Anything else from the eye test, Joe? What about the City United game? Anything in there you thought that was interesting?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, it was a great game to watch. From an FPL standpoint, obviously Haaland's captain him every week. Yeah. You don't need to talk about him too much.
What did you think of De Bruyne's performance? Is from an eye test standpoint.
I mean, incredible. I mean, but that's the thing with De Bruyne. He'll produce assists out of places you don't expect him to produce assists from. So, statistics. Well, I don't know. Statistics. Well, I know, because I guess the assists he creates. I feel like he doesn't have to be playing that well or be playing against a fixture that's particularly easy for him to just create something out of absolutely thin air.
Almost like the Son Heung-min of assists. For example, Son obviously being proving that XG doesn't necessarily apply to everyone because he consistently outperforms.
Well, no, I was gonna. Sorry, go on, bro.
I was gonna say, just on that brief little point there. XG doesn't apply to De Bruyne either. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, he got nearly 20 goals in. I'm talking about his whole campaign. 22 goals, I think he got in a campaign out of an XG from 5 point something. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm going to use the phrase again, but he's very good at football. But it works for De Bruyne. He's sensational. So yeah, De Bruyne, the only slight minutes risk, and obviously he blanks in 12. But I mean, yeah, if you've got the money to get up towards him, then it's a recommended transfer in for Cooper. Also, Anthony's goal was really great, adding to his goal from his debut. Otherwise, in the game, he was fairly quiet, to be honest. But I mean, that's to be expected. He was playing Man City. Anthony Martial getting a brace. He looked really good when he came off the bench, actually, and that could do him a world of confidence. I know United fans are really glad that he's back and firing. Obviously, but like Martial in particular, they're really glad that he's hit the kind of form that they knew that he had when he came. So, if he can get some starts in, I wouldn't mind having a gander at Martial. He's a forward in the game, right? He's like 7 mil or something.
Yep.
So he's one to watch if he starts starting some games. Apart from that, Foden didn't. I mean, he didn't do much apart from the goals that he scored. Which I mean, obviously is a bit of a shit point because he scored the goals.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. For some people may just look at the highlights and think, "Oh, this guy's amazing," but if he's not doing a hell lot, it just goes to show, it's not reliable data.
But also, Haaland doesn't do a great deal other than getting the goals and assists that he did, so it's sort of not void in a way. But no, yeah, Foden was very good in the game. Stuck away every chance that he got. Well done him. Could bring him in, but it feels a bit
knee-jerky.
Though, saying that, he has started every single game for Man City in the Premier League this season. So
yeah, that is
risk is not so much there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big point. Yeah, I feel like before our main thing around Foden was the fact that we didn't know whether he'd play, but the fact that he's playing consistently now.
To be fair, not to be a dickhead, but I remember when we were having that conversation, I did say how his minutes were trending upwards, and then you were like, "Oh no, Mahrez is probably going to play more," and I was like, "No, he's Foden is Pep's golden boy."
I've actually caught that we've not seen Mahrez in a long time.
Yeah, we were very
Where is
wrong.
Mahrez? Where is he?
I think he's just on the bench. Foden's better than him.
Sounds like I was right.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Shame I got talked out of it.
What other game? I watched West Ham versus Wolves as well. Yeah, West Ham looked defensively really good, but that's probably because Wolves were so offensively terrible. So yeah, I won't take too much from that. Though the fact that you said West Ham's defence has been really good in the last 6 encourages me a little.
When Costa came on, Wolves looked like a completely different unit. I honestly who are they playing this week? Oh, Chelsea. No.
Yeah. Former club.
Some shit as a Chelsea supporter too. You're just targeting Chelsea.
Yeah.
If they're shit. You're not loyal to Chelsea.
No, honestly, Diego Costa looked like. Oh, apparently something like Wolves haven't lost a game when they play a recognised striker. By the way.
Sounds like they should play a recognised striker.
So when they don't play a recognised centre forward, when they play like Neto up there or like Podence or all of these other things, they don't win. Whereas when they win, they always have a recognised centre forward on the pitch. So it's just something out there. I mean, if Costa can, I don't know how he's going to do it week in, week out, but
yeah,
currently.
Yeah, I mean, Diego Costa. I mean, like that's a good stat about them having a recognised striker up there, but he isn't the same beast that he used to be.
No.
We're not getting the Antonio Conte Costa.
How old is he these days?
Old, and his goal scoring record over the last couple of seasons has been like bad.
Yep. But I think there will be a small bounce that we'll see, and then it will rapidly decline.
He's 33. For those who were,
it's a new manager bounce. Maybe they might play with a bit more enthusiasm to try and excite.
I think it could be one to watch.
His birthday's in 2 days. He'll be 34 in 2 days. Maybe when this goes out.
After game week 12, Wolves actually have one of the best runs that anyone has up until. Well, actually, takes him after the World Cup, doesn't it? But yeah, so it could be something that you punt on. They've got Leicester, Brentford, just before the World Cup. So maybe if they're looking good after then, we might come back to them and then get rid of them on our World Cup wildcard. But yeah, just someone to keep an eye on. The next game that I was to watch, don't know if you watched this as well, Joe. I watched the North London derby.
No, I didn't watch this one.
Yeah. Spurs had actually a lot of they're obviously it's two different styles going up against each other. Conte plays without the ball. That's his style. They don't want the football in their half. It's just like let them sit back and just soak it up, and then hit on the break with Richarlison, Son, and Kane. And they actually had quite a few breaks in that first half. And they just the final ball just wasn't there the odd time. I mean, they were quite lucky with the penalty. I feel not in terms of it was a penalty, but that was just a chance which they'd spurned. I mean, like Son just overplayed the ball to Richarlison. It should have been Son to Richarlison, and Richarlison finds the net. But Richarlison was working quite hard in that game, and actually was probably one of their best players on the pitch.
What did you think of Harry Kane's performance in that game?
To be honest, Kane, he just gets goals, doesn't he? I don't really watch Kane. Kane's there. I don't really care. I feel like I was more interested in the wing back situation that's currently happening there. Perisic was in on goal a couple times, or could have been in on goal if someone had found him, or just Son was facing the wrong way, and there was so many times that overlap happened.
I love the idea of him just running in the complete opposite direction.
yeah. Oh, Son, what are you doing? The goal's that way, and Conte's just like, that way. And he's like, no.
So, I mean, yeah, Son just had his back turned towards Perisic's wing and was looking for Richarlison, but not seeing that Perisic was obviously overloading that side and was a free man. And I don't really have a conundrum there about what to do with him this week in terms of he's obviously started. I actually also watched their game yesterday against Frankfurt, the Champions League. Pretty dire, to be honest. Turned it off at half time. But that sort of put me off them. Brighton are in good form, and I don't know whether I back them to keep a clean sheet here in this game. And with obviously Emerson Royale being sent off, maybe that opens an opportunity for someone else to come into the Spurs picture, like a Doherty, and just change it up a bit. I feel like they were a bit stagnated against Frankfurt, so some fresh legs down that right hand wing might be good.
I've got a question, BV. As for you, as someone who's obviously seen then a couple of Spurs games, what do you think of? Because I've had a success in these past couple of game weeks with the threemium of KDB, but then KDB could be KDB or Salah, Haaland, which is a given, and then Kane. What do you make of that, or do you think Kane's not worth his price tag in a threemium?
No, I stick with it. If there's a better option that arises, then or you need to free up funds for a big move to get someone in midfield. Maybe instead of ditching De Bruyne, you were going to go for something like selling Kane and freeing up funds for Salah in midfield, and you could have that style of threemium. Don't know, but I think currently there's no reason to not stick with it. You know, Kane's going to start. Even now that Kulusevski's injured for what looks like a good another 2 weeks, that means Richarlison's not a threat to Kane as such. Not that he was before.
I don't think he is anyway.
Yeah. That's definite. That was only the potential flag, maybe. So.
Is he frozen? No. He's back. Oh, he's coming in and out.
He's here.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Hiya.
No, I was going to say something, and then you're frozen. Then it threw me off.
About Richarlison not being a threat to Kane. That's what you last said. Anyway, despite the colours.
I think if you've got Kane and you've got De Bruyne, I think the one that you'll look to move on in the coming weeks will be De Bruyne, just because of that game week 12 blank. Or you keep all three of them. I don't think Kane's a seller by any respect. Though he does have Brighton, and you never bet against Brighton, as they say. But I think if
you say,
they say they should. But no, I mean, don't bring in any Spurs assets this week, guys, because you never bet against Brighton. But you're fine to hold against Brighton.
I mean, to go back to something that was previously brought up, I've got a question for you, Joe.
Oh.
There you are. Because BV, I believe it was BV, who brought up Wolves' good fixture run, prolonged fixture run. And now, of course, you previously have said, and probably what's turned out to be rightfully so, Wolves are dog, back against Wolves. So where does that leave you on this standpoint then? With obviously Wolves having good fixtures, but if Wolves are supposedly, dire, which they have been proving you right on, what do you make of that?
Well, I know Wolves are playing Chelsea next week, and I'm a guy with 3 Chelsea players, so I mean that makes me quite happy. But Chelsea, Wolves, they do have a new manager, so we could see an element of players wanting to make an impression. Manager trying a new style of play which works for them. So Wolves are sort of unknowns for the short term at the moment. But you'd back them to keep struggling for goals, just because they don't have the players.
Just how you mentioned Chelsea there, actually, we've not spoke about them. Currently, it looks like they're basically performing at mid-table level. They're not anywhere near the top 4. They're just punching out mid-table numbers. So as in think of them in the same currently, think of the same light that you look at like a Brentford. They're literally putting out basically correlated numbers with that, but actually lower XG. So they're
Sterling's underlyings are quite good though, aren't they?
It's probably because he's a tap-in
He's
merchant.
a weird price. He's a weird price because he's 10 mil and he can't lace the boots of a De Bruyne or Salah. Well, Salah's underperforming, but shush. He can't lace the boots of a fire in 12 mil, and rightfully so because he's 10 mil. But you can't compare him to an 8 mil because he's fucking 10 mil. He's just it's a weird price, 10 mil. It gives me.
I think he's one to watch. I think if Potter, because as in if there was a Tuchel there, I would say, well, this might just see out for a while. But I think because obviously they've got a new manager that is waiting to implement their football and methodology on them, we will see Chelsea improve. But in current form, they are not a team that I would buy any assets from.
What do you think of Reece James then? Because obviously you've said before with him being, and as a Chelsea fan perspective, with him being so crucial to both their defence and attack that you get the threat at both ends. And I guess you wouldn't sell him this week anyway because Wolves are dog.
I wouldn't sell him, but I do prefer the asset of Chilwell actually to Reece James currently. I just find that I see Chilwell attacking more up in the box. I find him. He's sort of finding himself in what I would call Marcus Alonso positions. He's just sort of somehow drifting around.
Is he not a massive minute? Does Sterling not play left wing back but play really attacking, and then like Cucurella play left centre back?
I don't know. Well, there's only been 2 games, so we can't really comment on it. So last game,
Chilwell's played, has he?
Last week he played the 4 at the back. Cucurella's injured currently. So I don't mind Chilwell there. If it's a 4 at the back, I don't really rate any of them, to be honest. I don't think any of the defenders are good enough to score. It will have to be a 5.
What, Joe? What 3 Chelsea assets do you have? Because you said that obviously you have 3 Chelsea assets.
Just to finish commenting on, I had something to say about Chilwell. Oh yeah, Cucurella was ill, which is why I didn't play the last game, so he might be back. So just bear that in mind.
I actually have the lineup right now. So against AC Milan, we've got a Kepa in goal, Fofana, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly. We've got Reece James and Chilwell in the wing-back spots. We've got Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Mount, Sterling, Aubameyang.
So he's doing it looks like 5-2-3. It's classic Tuchel.
5-3-4-2-1. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Actually, today that's a good scouting opportunity.
Actually, I don't rate how Fofana's played really. I wouldn't have minded him getting rested. So my players are Fofana, Reece James, and Sterling. Dan. Fofana seems like a good pick if he keeps playing, but yeah, Reece James's attacking numbers are floundering a little bit, which isn't really great.
I don't know if I'd double up on the Chelsea defence. Maybe. I mean, they're playing Wolves. What do you think? The Wolves never score a goal. Really.
I mean, they're good to have for this week, and I think Fofana at 4.4, if he starts in, even if Chelsea play mid-table football, he's not the worst player to have at 4.4 in a team that starts.
And I
starting in that team.
My personal opinion on Reece James at the minute is that because Reece James, I also own Reece James. I didn't at the start of the season though, and I feel like he hasn't been doing that great lately. I've not seen anything remarkable, but Reece James, obviously, he's still a good player. In Chelsea, even if they're not like great, they're not like bad. And if there's like a dip, there's usually always a bounce back. It's a bit cyclical. So if James hasn't been performing for the last few game weeks or whatever, well, we can still assume he's still a good player. He's a good player. And so you'd expect he's still going to get some returns in, he's kind of due in a way. And I guess with it coinciding with Wolves, I mean, yeah, you're not jumping to buy James by any means, but you keep him this week pretty clearly.
Yeah. And as well with, I mean, I think if I was on a wild card now, I wouldn't have James, but the fact that I've already got him, he's got Wolves this week and Villa next week, like, you don't get rid of him. But with Sterling, he's actually, I think he created 3 like big chances in the last game, and watching the highlights, he like hit the post with a chance right in front of the keeper, which he could have done better with. Like, I'm happy to have Sterling. Maybe if I could rejig my team, maybe I'd want like a De Bruyne or something. But the fact I have Sterling, I do quite like him. I back him to do something over these next 2 games. So yeah, and that's a good differential as well. So yeah, I'm not not hating having 3 Chelsea people. I'd like them to have done more than they have, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, is there a team that we haven't spoke about? So if I run down the team list, I'll just say, and Villa, we haven't spoken about Villa. So Villa are currently actually just top of the fixture ticker.
Nice. Well, I watched the Villa Leeds game, and obviously Leeds went down to 10 men. Before they did, Villa looked diabolical. They created 1 or 2 chances. I mean, Watkins got in a couple of times, but they just look. They just look like they're just not playing like swift, attractive football. They just look boring.
I mean, of course, Joe, I don't know if you still do, but you certainly you own Bailey.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that? I mean, at least as BV said, top of the fixture ticker, but diabolical doesn't sound great. How do you feel about the fact that you can call yourself a Bailey owner?
I say that what I just said, but Bailey was an assist to Coutinho at the post. He had a shot from the edge of the box, which he put straight down the keeper's throat, either side of him. He hit it quite well, so he could have.
And then he got a yellow card and then got subbed off
immediately afterwards. Yeah, cheers, Bailey. Appreciate that, mate. It was about to get subbed off. Literally, he was standing like the guy that was going to replace him was standing on the side, and he got a yellow card, and then he cheers, Leon. Thanks, mate. Would have been a 3-pointer, but a big 2 instead. No, I mean what Bailey is he's 4.7 million, which means that ultimately he's probably bench fodder type material. So the fact that he plays fairly regularly and he's exciting-ish, like he could have got a goal and assist on another day in that game. Yeah. He's wasn't likely to, but he could have. He's got Forest away in this next game, and we've just discussed how crap Forest are. The issue you'll have with Bailey is minutes, because he's been so poor. He might well stop being such good value because he'll get less minutes than the 66 that he's currently getting.
I think, away from Bailey though, if anyone wanted to look at a different Villa asset, I think if people want to sell Mitrovic, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if they were to sell Mitrovic, say we learn that he's going to be out for a couple of weeks or something, and you wanted to take a risk on someone that might be showing a bit of form, is Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
I think with them being top of the fixtures, he's obviously, I wouldn't say he's good. He's not a really good footballer. He's a hard-working footballer.
That's just that feels like something a teacher would say or a parent would say. Oh, you know what that sounds like? That's like if a mum has a clapped son and like the son says, think I'm beautiful. Like it's like his daddy's, mummy's little like prince or whatever. But there was a point.
So yeah, Ollie Watkins
Moving
is a
swiftly on.
potential. Yeah. Leicester, we've talked about it. Maddison, decent, but their next game's Bournemouth, up in the air. That could be good, could be not good. We haven't really seen much of. I don't know. I wouldn't buy any.
Play Danny Ward if you've got him, maybe.
Yeah.
Play
But
Danny
also,
Ward over Henderson. I say that like Henderson's putting up a real fucking fight for that spot.
Maybe Villa at home.
But I don't want a points dodge. I've also
they're
got to
both-
factor in if I actually went with Ward and then Henderson returned and Ward didn't, I think I'd have a heart attack.
They are. I'm going to put this up. They are both the worst goalkeepers currently in the Premier League. They're both the worst
Lovely.
defenses in the league. So they are the
That's what the
both
doctor ordered.
worst.
The two worst defences in the league.
You've picked both of them.
Oh, that's, if anything, that's just impressively awful.
It's choosing between 19th and 20th. You know, come on. Right. But I would also play Solanke in that Bournemouth game. I would play Solanke. You don't know. You expect if Leicester are going to concede to Bournemouth, you would hope Solanke's involved.
Ward's also apparently an awful keeper.
He was all right against Forest.
I mean, the things I hear.
He's playing in an awful defence.
He has been bad though, but he was good against Forest. Made some good saves.
Right. Next, we've already spoke about West Ham. We don't really need to touch upon City. We spoke about them. Spoke about Forest. Spoke about
one thing
Bournemouth.
about City, how do you feel about, because obviously City, I don't feel like they've keeping a ton of clean sheets or anything lately. I know some people have been talking about in the FPL community that Cancelo might not have the attacking threat he's had in the past, and he is quite expensive. I think we all three of us own Cancelo, so it's very much in our interest to think about. Do you think, what do you think about Cancelo?
Joe?
Sure. I think he's a hold if you've not got fires to put out, or you don't need his money to move up to someone else. Like I think there's bigger problems than the second highest scoring defender in the game to have. But I mean, ultimately he's expensive and his underlying data is really quite bad. But the benefits you've got with him is that he's the only regular starting defender in that Man City defence, which is a good defence, apart from Edison, obviously. But you don't pick Edison.
I think he can always pop up with an attacking return, even if he is less attacking in that sense. I'm not expecting hauls from him nearly as often as he was producing last season, but I think City always have the capability to keep a clean sheet. And yeah, I think you wouldn't sell Cancelo up until, I mean, they've got Liverpool next week after this week. You definitely wouldn't sell them this week, but Liverpool next week and then the blank. So you could consider it there. I know it was in one of my drafts to maybe do Cancelo to Chilwell. But yeah, that's just an opportunity there. There's not much value risen in him, all of these sort of things. So I would consider, I'm looking to sell Cancelo more than I'm looking to sell someone like Martinelli. What
about Cancelo or De Bruyne? Obviously, it seems like a bit weird to put them in the same boat with the different positions in vastly different price, but obviously they are both City boys, and chances are you're not going to want to keep both of them with this blank in Game Week 12, because we've already established most of the player base, certainly that are paying attention, have Haaland. And then
you've just got to be mindful that City's fixtures after that blank in Game Week 12 are still really good. They'll have Brighton, which is actually now a tough game, but after that they'll have Leicester, Fulham, Brentford, and then obviously the International World Cup break. So they've got 3 good games there: Leicester, Fulham, Brentford. They could batter those teams. So it might actually be that I look to get De Bruyne back first, because I can see more ball opportunities there. But it might just be that I go right back to my assets, which I sell for the blank, just gradually. So Cancelo there as well. I do also want to alert that Diaz might be a sell if you've got him. We've got Laporte featured in that United game, so he's coming back. Akanji slotted in there nicely.
Akanji was really good actually watching that game. And as well, City, when they were so far ahead, they got defensively sloppy and they switched off.
You know,
They conceded 3 against Newcastle as well. So
I think a kanji is the name of a box jellyfish. It's a really deadly box jellyfish. I think it's called the kanji. Just a fun fact.
Wow, maybe a box jellyfish can go on today's thumbnail and
That just is an Easter egg.
yeah. I'd actually like to claim also, this wasn't mentioned on the previous pod. I had the picture of Tuchel being a fraud. You know, it wasn't actually Tuchel, it was that sort of homeless man.
Yeah.
And then by the next game week he was sacked. So you know,
Vision.
maybe a kanji.
will become a jellyfish.
Who is a kanji? I feel like I should know, but I am an
Oh.
I'm an enthusiast too.
Yeah.
He's the new City centre back. He used to play for Dortmund.
Ah, fair play. Good luck at kanji.
Okay, next we've got Palace. Obviously, Zaha's now entering their big run of games, which is very nice up until the World Cup.
Edouard could be a little bit of a shout because he's very cheap and they've got excellent fixtures.
Ooh, last week, remember I called out the fact that Zaha wouldn't return. I still played him.
Well, that meant you done well.
But you know, if anyone trusted my advice and felt how I was feeling at the same time, but wanted some reassurance. Oh, for a podcast that never went out. But
oh shit! Yeah. If you remember when we didn't upload that, you might have remembered the 10 minutes of shite we put out from that.
Yeah.
You recommend Edouard?
I don't think I recommended Edward, but I think you guys said, oh, Palace will score, so don't really play your Chelsea double defence. And then I said, but Zaha won't be involved.
Yeah, I rate that, baby.
Zaha.
I think you've done really well to play a player who blanked in Zaha.
And it was you guys that wanted me to play him. Don't act like this is.
No, you've done really well.
I actually did do well because I was going to play Emerson, who ended up getting 1 point. So I actually benefited. I got 100% more points.
You got 1 more point.
United. Yeah.
Keep an eye on Anthony.
Attacking wise, they're all right, but at the same time, they didn't really have to. You know, they were already 4-0 down. They were obviously going to go for it. It was a derby. We'll see what they turn out.
Should we quickly say what our transfers are?
Okay, I haven't fully thought about mine in all honesty. I might just keep Mitrovic. I actually kind of this week want to go for a. I don't know if I want to trust Emerson. I'm going to see what happens on Thursday. Hopefully, somehow I get a hint that he might play. I doubt I will. And
I feel like
start him.
Yeah, that's like Maya Marty from last season. Yeah, you're hoping for someone to start. You know, there's just no point. Just give up.
Yeah, or I might have to use a transfer on him because I need him to play in game week 12. And I actually brought him in because he has who has he got in game week 12? Oh, he's actually got a shocker in game week 12. But I just needed some minutes from him. So actually I might just sell him this week and go to someone that's more likely to play in game week 12.
Nice. What are you thinking, Dom?
I'm thinking of, I mean, obviously maybe Mitrovic could start. Even if he doesn't, I'm not selling him. I've pretty much all but convinced myself roll is the way. Roll is the way this week, so I'm going to roll. The only thing I have a headache, not a headache, but my debate isn't in transfers, it's in selection. If Mitrovic is not playing, obviously he's on the bench. Now, am I going to play Neco Williams? No. I have Henderson and I don't want to give myself an aneurysm. But I do have a decision between, I guess, Pereira or Shaw. Now, I already have Trippier and Decador-Reid who will be playing. So it'll either force me into doubling up on Newcastle defence against Brentford, who could go either way. So, you know, I'm unsure. Or doubling up on basically Fulham's attack, which in one thing you could say if Mitrovic isn't starting, that's not good. But on the other hand, you could say, well, if they can score, you know, maybe sort of a couple players could step up, where Mitrovic might be, gobble up the attacking returns. So
we're entering this period where Fabian Schär is due an attacking return. I just like to state, 1 in every 6, I think it is previously. So we're entering this period where it's coming up. It's coming up. If it doesn't come up, then 2 on the bounce will come up.
Oh! Do you know what I want to ask? What is? Surely someone can whip up these stats. Someone's got up these before. I want to know what Brentford are like from conceding from set pieces or aerial goals.
Okay.
I want to know how good Brentford are. Set piece
well, they're pretty good with set pieces, aren't they, Brentford?
That's what I was asking. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think famously that they've they create a lot of XG from set pieces, like Janssen and Ager and.
But how are they at defending them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can only assume quite good. They've got big, tall defenders.
Wait, so what do you want, Dan? Do you want how many
set pieces
they've conceded?
I'd like them like for, I don't know, if it's XG or goal XG conceded from set pieces.
Why are you asking, Dan?
Because Schär, Schär's a centre back and he's due a goal, and if he's then playing a team which are fairly poor or not great for conceding set pieces or area goals, chances are he could get his head on it.
I know a lot of Schär's returns don't actually come from set pieces. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I feel like he can, he can
pop a long shot.
Yeah. I don't know why in my head. Maybe this is just bollocks, but I almost feel like sometimes. Never mind. I'm gonna stop talking because goals are in question, not assists. In my head, I've just got images I'm doing.
He can get assists. I think.
Yeah, I feel like he lofts some balls into the box. I'm just I'm just picturing Schär doing all kinds of shit.
Yeah. No, I can see it. Joachim Anderson, like almost.
Yeah.
It, maybe?
He's almost like you in a way,
No.
Joe. Because for the viewers, because Joe here, he played football in university.
What a pronunciation! A sport you might not have heard of. Football.
And he describes himself as either being David Luiz is in a centre back player or a Kevin De Bruyne, and it's been Schär's like both of them. Well, not like really, but he's a defender, but he can also do some attacking shit. So maybe you're a Schär or were a Schär.
I mean, I'd rather be Kevin De Bruyne.
No, you're Fabian Schär.
You're struggling, BB.
I've got it actually. I'm just having to name the table that I've just made.
Could that have waited?
No. It doesn't let you. It doesn't let you create a table until you go through these things. Okay, we're here. Set pieces conceded. I may as well share screen.
Yeah, it's the moment we've been waiting for.
Set pieces conceded with a double E. Oh, we've got it by player.
This is not.
Okay, that's all right. Let's modify, filter, or add conditions.
Spelled pieces wrong. This is a shame.
Yeah, I had to type it very quickly.
Because that's
show stats. For teams. Update table.
For teams.
Review.
The moment of truth.
This is where Brentford are the best at it, and it's just a complete waste of time.
Goal attempts from
set plays conceded.
3.
Mid-table. There you go. What are you going to do with
that then? To be fair, what I actually think is I hate missing. That's such a shit quote. I hate missing returns. No shit. But BV's actual words about Schär due a return. I'm actually leaning towards playing Schär because Newcastle are quite good. I think Decador reads enough fucking Fulham threat.
Yeah. You definitely, even before we went into all of this, you play Schär before Pereira. We literally just spoke about how West Ham are good for a clean sheet.
Yeah.
There's no point playing double Fulham against them.
Well, you spoke about that, but yeah.
Let's not pretend you have any thoughts outside of theirs.
No. So now, currently, because what I'll do is I'll bench Mitrovic and then I'll just pop him off if I then read later. Because it also means if I forget, this is golden.
Okay, great.
But I'm not.
All right, my transfers just before BV's got to shoot off.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of the bench boost this week. It's long been my ambition to get it out the way.
Oh, he's always had a dream.
Have you got your team to share on the screen, Joe? Did you already get it prepped?
Oh, so
if you are going to bench boost, then that might be handy for us to see.
Well,
I want to see this bench.
Well, I mean, all right, I'm gone.
Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? Is this irrelevant if you're not going to do it?
Well, God, I've got to get the whole team in here.
Oh, we're going to come back next week.
Got it.
I didn't bench boost.
There we go. Start sharing. Okay, can we see it?
Yep.
All right, so the transfers that I'm going to make, well, I don't know really. I've got lots of different ideas in mind, but the 3 players that I'm thinking of getting rid of for others are Ruben Diaz, Mitrovic, and Andreas Pereira. A combination of those guys are going to go. It depends on whether Mitrovic is really injured or not. Whether I'm going to get rid of Diaz because Diaz might actually start this game against Southampton, which is a fairly attractive fixture.
What if Mitrovic is injured for a week?
There he goes.
Yeah, go.
He goes.
Well, I guess if you bench
because I mean, some of my drafts have got Mitrovic going to Gabriel Jesus. Some of them are going to Solanke.
I like it. I think, yeah, you get rid of Diaz. You don't know if he's guaranteed to start or not. Unless he's in the predicted lineups to start, then maybe he's a hold. Southampton's a pretty good defensive.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Clean sheet there. Otherwise, yeah, get rid of Diaz, bring in a West Ham defender that's pretty cheap.
I'm going to go Kara.
Use the funds to go up from Mitrovic and Andreas to someone again.
I quite fancy Dewsbury Hall in and around 5 mil actually. He looked very good against Forest. He should have got some more returns than he did.
Yeah, he did look alright, didn't he?
Yeah, Dewsbury Hall. Bournemouth away isn't the best attacking fixture, so I don't know if you want to double up on Leicester there. But Leicester do always get a goal. Yeah, you don't know where it's going to come from. But yeah, maybe look at another fixture you can target. It's someone cheap. It's just a bench boost. You know that Dewsbury Hall is at least going to start. And you never know. You might end up with just a nice 3, which is always good to have. And yeah, that's what I'd say on that idea. But it does look good otherwise.
Happy to get it out of the way as well, so I can start to release funds from the bench for the rest of my season as well, which is good. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Are we done then? That was a really good pod actually this week, guys.
I think so too. Let's.
I'd
Not many podcasts end like that. Just patting themselves on the back. We survived.
Do you know what I wish we had more of to really measure whether what we're doing is good or better or worse? It'd be great if we had a few more viewers. To then tell us. Sadly, that
we'll get this out tonight. With some chapters on there. We'll upload it to Spotify. All this sort of stuff. There's no reason for us not to do it. Go on. Right. We'll see you soon, viewers.
Dan, play the outro.
Oh yeah. One second.
All right, let's waffle for a minute while Dan finds the outro.
That would have been perfect. That would have been perfect waffle. But just good.
Yeah. Talk.
Yeah, no, that was wrapped up really nicely.
And also, if this goes out really in time, I mean, it's in 9 minutes, but watch the Champions League games. Good scam.